Next tonight, we're going to talk about parking, and there could be some good news for drivers. Private parking companies have promised to update their code of conduct after complaints that they are being far too strict. The companies are saying they'll look again at the rule that drivers should not take more than 5 minutes to pay for parking. This is after one woman racked up almost £2,000 in fine from the same car park. She is Rosey Hudson, and she was taken to court after repeatedly taking more than 5 minutes to pay at a car park in Derby, she says, because of poor mobile phone coverage. Well, I'm pleased to say that Rosey joins us tonight, along with consumer rights expert Scott Dixon. Rosey, good evening to you both, first of all, but Rosey, your story has really garnered a lot of attention because so many people can identify with parking fines and what they see as an unfair, quite harsh system. Tell me your story. How did you get to the £2,000 mark when it comes to fines?
Well, it basically started from parking for everyday work. I was using the car park to commute to work every day. I thought nothing of it. However, I couldn't even use the basic fundament of paying with cash. There was no machine that worked. This company are actually claiming that there was a machine working. However, at the time, I have a photo from Google Maps that proves that both machines were out of order. So upon receiving the first fine, I phoned the company to dispute this, and they basically said to me, you're liable for this fee because you haven't paid within 5 minutes. So to get them off my back, I actually paid the first fine. So I paid £60, which because it was within 14 days. However, subsequently received a further 9 fines in the post, one after the other. I even received one letter and then another letter on the same day. So it's been crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, you can understand why, because if you're parking at that car park every day for work, obviously it's going to keep happening, and that's why the letters are coming in such quick succession. And you say that you paid the first one, and that's what most people do. They think, oh gosh, if I pay now, it's half price. You take the hassle out of it, and the language can often be quite scary, and they say, if you don't pay within this time frame, you're liable for the full amount. Did you feel that kind of pressure? I'm also interested as to why you felt you wanted to fight it further, because like I said, most people just don't.
Yes, so I've thought it was really important to keep strong, keep doing this and fight for it, because I'm so aware of the hundreds and thousands of people that are affected by this every single day. The private car parking companies are making money out of thin air, and it can't carry on for much longer. This is why I've stood up for myself and so many other motorists, because we're going through this every single day.
Yeah, and particularly at train station car parks, right? Because time's of the essence. You're normally rushing for the train, and you tend to pay for parking on the train, and that could be without the 5-minute time limit. And you mentioned there about the money they're making. It's estimated around 41,000 parking tickets are issued a day by private parking companies. 3.8 million of them were handed out between July and September last year alone. That's according to the RAC Foundation. Each ticket and fine can be up to £100, so that's around £4.1 million a day. Let's bring in Scott at this point, because, Scott, that is a lot of fines being handed out to people. Anecdotally, we all know someone with a fine. Some of us might have even got them ourselves. What are your rights if you believe that you have made a genuine mistake or you've done nothing wrong?
Well, the first thing that you need to bear in mind is a private parking operator cannot fine you. So what they do is they issue parking charge notices for an alleged breach of contract for parking on private land. And only councils can fine you, and they issue penalty charge notices for infringements on public highways, like parking in bus lanes and on double yellow lines. And they look similar, and there's a reason for that. And it's to essentially extract money from you as part of their business model. And what you need to do, if you feel that you've been unfairly ticketed, for example, if you've gone to the Boxing Day sales at Next and you've entered the car park before 7 o'clock and you've got a ticket, go to Next, because they have the power to cancel them. And it's the same with supermarkets, cinemas. Go straight to the cinema or supermarket in the first instance and try and get the ticket cancelled at that point and get it confirmed in writing. And if that doesn't work, follow the appeals process. The first stage of the appeal will be virtually rejected. But if you take it to the second stage, the British Parking Association, POPLA, it's the Independent Appeal Service, 42% are upheld. So if it's not right, it's worth the fight. Stick to your guns. Evidence is key. So and a lot of these tickets are issued out of time. So to hold keeper liability, they've got to be issued within 14 days of the parking event under Schedule 4 of the Protection of Freedoms Act 2012. And if they're issued later than that, there is no keeper liability. And you can put that to the parking operator that they need to cancel it because there is no keeper liability. You're only invited to transfer the liability to the driver.
This is so interesting, Scott. This really is. I feel like I should be taking notes because, you know, most people think when they get an official letter through the door from a private parking company, you know, a train station car park, for instance, where Rosie was, that they have to pay that fine. A lot of people get to look, I'm just looking at a debt recovery notice here because many people will know that is the next step. If you don't pay that fine, you get these kind of letters. And that number there is a frightening number. It's over £1,000. What do people do if it gets to this stage? What are their rights here and what can they do?
Well, what you need to bear in mind is the private parking operators, they use third-party debt collectors, but these third-party debt collectors are classed as strangers to the debt. So they don't actually own this alleged debt. And it's just part of the process that they use to extract money with menaces. But what you need to do is you need to respond to what's called the letter before claim or letter before action. And that's the last stop before it goes to court. So that needs a response. But these third-party debt collector letters, they're not enforceable. And it's just completely wrong. And this is why we need a UK government code of practice with teeth to create a level playing field for all motorists. Because what we have at the moment is trade associations and parking bodies just marking their own homework and making the rules up as they go along. And this latest announcement is simply a knee-jerk reaction to Rosie's case and the adverse media attention it's attracted.
Well, listen, Scott, that's been so useful in terms of, you know, most people think they do have to pay the fine and, you know, they pay more thinking if they leave it later, it will go up in price. So that's been some really useful information there. And like you said, there should be a standard code